You ever have one of those nights where the rain's coming down so hard it feels like the whole world's trying to wash you away and the only shelter you find is behind a busted-up car, blood running into your eyes, with three men you once trusted leveling their guns at you like you're just another nobody? Yeah, that was me, Commander Maya Richardson, hiding behind a ruined sedan while my own officers, guys I'd hired, guys I'd mentored, decided I was a criminal. All because they didn't recognize me out of uniform, or maybe because when it came down to it, they just didn't want to. You want to know what's wild? Officer Garrett, Deputy Chief, Garrett looked down at me, and all he saw was a black woman in the wrong place, wearing jeans instead of blues. Didn't matter what I'd done or what I'd earned. Didn't matter, I was about to become chief of this department. To them, I was just another problem to be handled. And as the rain hammered down, as their flashlights shook and their hands tightened on their weapons, I remember thinking, this, right here, is how justice gets twisted. This is where all the stories start. I wish I could tell you it was just a misunderstanding, that once I flashed my badge and rattled off my credentials, everyone calmed down, apologized, maybe offered me a towel. But no. They roughed me up, they cracked my head open on the roof of my own car, they slapped cuffs on my wrists so hard I couldn't feel my hands for hours. When I tried to protest, to explain, they just grinned like they'd been waiting for an excuse. It's funny, in a dark way, yeah, I'm bleeding, my vision blurring, and all I could do is think, this is exactly why I took this job. If you don't see the rod until it touches you, you never realize how deep it runs. Back in the station, under flickering fluorescent lights, those same officers paraded me through the bullpen like a prize. Got another troublemaker, they crowed, laughing with their buddies, ignoring the blood on my face. Medical help? No chance. A phone call? Later. I caught every name, every badge number, every smirk, filed them away. Survival tactic. Call it paranoia if you want, but that's how you stay alive. Sergeant Daniels, who looked like he hadn't smiled in a decade, barely glanced up. Resisting arrest, drug possession, disorderly conduct, my guys recited as if I was the one playing games. Daniels didn't care. Take her to interrogation 3. Hours passed in that bleaching sweat stink, my wrists burning, head throbbing, officers popping in one by one with new threats, new insults, new lies. People like you ruin good neighborhoods, one said, scrolling my phone with greasy fingers. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. They rotated in and out, searching for cracks in my story, except I wasn't lying. I was a cop. Still am. That's when Garrett showed up behind the glass, watching, silent, like he was auditioning for a mob movie. I asked for my phone, call one real, honest call. They finally let me have it, so I called my FBI contact, Hamilton. I had a speaking code. The hospitality here is just as we discussed, I said, hoping he'd get the message. This was a setup, and it was bigger than me. Back in a holding cell, I met Letitia, woman with a laugh like broken glass. What you in for? Being black on a Tuesday, she joked. She wasn't wrong. Around us, an old man wheezing in the corner, a kid with a bruised face, a couple of construction workers who'd just been fixing up someone's porch. All of us thrown together for no reason except we didn't look like we belonged. When the old man, Carlos, started gasping for his meds, I tried to get help, got slammed against a wall for my trouble. This is what happens to troublemakers. Walsh spat, eyes full of hate. Nobody got help for 45 minutes. Carlos barely made it. Nobody cared. Arraignment came early and ugly. Judge Harmon, old friend of the department, looked down on me like I was gum stuck to his shoe. New charges appeared out of nowhere. Assaulting an officer, possession with intent to distribute. They even faked dash cam footage, cut it up, jumped the timestamps. I called them out in court, but the judge barely listened. 50 grand bail, and the DA presented a bag of powder I'd never seen in my life. There was one ally in that room, Jessica Chun, the court reporter. She slipped me her card, whispered, "I've been documenting cases like yours. This isn't the first time." I realized then, this was bigger than me. The system wasn't just broken. It was designed this way. Sarah Martinez, my public defender, didn't flinch when I told her who I really was. She'd seen this play before. 7 years of defending people like me in Westridge. You file a complaint, it disappears. You push too hard, they make you disappear. She handed me a micro recorder disguised as a button. Wear this. Trust me. After we made bail, barely Sarah drove us out of town, an unmarked cruiser tailing us. Miller tried to run us off the road, then swaggered up, grinning, threatening. Camera's broken. Lots of equipment failures today, he said, all but daring us to report him. That's when I knew we were at war. Sarah's office had a war room, field maps, files, timelines, former cops who'd all been forced out for not playing ball. James Cooper, Maria Vasquez, David Kimgood, officers ruined for doing the right thing. The Guardians, James explained, started as a drinking club, became something worse. Keeping Westridge Clenby any means necessary. My appointment letter as chief was the last thing Garrett and his crew expected. That made me a target. When we tried to regroup, masked men stormed Sarah's office, batons swinging Walsh's tattoo visible under his sleeve. They destroyed computers, threatened witnesses, tried to crush the case before it even started. But we'd already backed up the evidence. I met with Mayor Phillips, laid out the evidence, watched her hands shake when I mentioned Garrett. She played the politician weight. Be careful, Garrett is respected. But she listened. And when Garrett barged in, all smug and oblivious, he didn't realize who I was not yet. He still thought the old ways would hold. That night, they sabotaged my car, cut the fuel line. Have you ever seen someone abuse their power when they think no one's looking? I'd asked the world. Yeah, that happened. Again. From there, it went fast. More threats, more setups. Letitia got framed, beaten, almost disappeared for good. Anonymous texts lured me to an old warehouse where Walsh and Miller had Letitia handcuffed, ready to fake an overdose and call it suicide, just another black woman lost in the system. They had my fingerprints on drugs, my burner phone ready with threats they'd sent to themselves. Resign, or your friend dies, they told me. But I'd already tipped the feds. Hamilton and his team busted in, tear gas flying. Garrett tried to pin everything on a few bad apples. I called his bluff, recorded his threats, linked him to judges, the mayor, the council. When rookie officer Rodriguez, secretly my ally, came in with a squad of real officers, it was over. Garrett lost his mind, tried to shoot his way out. Died with the same look of surprise he'd had when he realized the world was changing. The aftermath was chaos. Judge Harmon arrested. Mayor Phillips forced to confess. City council squirming in their seats while I projected years of data racial bias, stolen funds, intimidation in the big screen. The old guard tried to shout me down. I had the receipts, the recordings, the allies. That first ceremony as chief, it turned into a reckoning. But the battle didn't end with a new chief's badge. The Guardians went underground, bomb threats, data leaks, threats against my family. Commissioner Davis, head of the state police, came in with official-looking papers, but he was just the next head of the Hydra. When the feds rolled in and arrested him, he hissed at me, "You can't arrest an ideology." Maybe not, but you can rip its roots out one by one. 6 months later, Westridge held a real community day, food trucks, music, new officers who looked like the community they served, kids who weren't afraid of cops anymore. Letitia, now our community liaison, told me, "It's better, but there's still work." She's right. The Guardian still sent threats, their old supporters grumbled, but they were isolated now, outnumbered, outflanked. Every day, more departments called me, Oregon, Missouri, Texas, asking how we did it. I sent them files, strategies, contacts. Built the Justice Integrity Network, connecting reformers across the country. The Guardians thought they could control everything with silence and fear. Turns out, they underestimated what happens when enough good people decide to fight back openly, together, with receipts. There were setbacks, officers found dead, suicides that were anything but evidence rooms raided by insiders. But we adapted. We doubled down. By the end of that first year, 47 indictments came down. Mayor, judge, deputies, even out-of-state conspirators gone. We changed hiring, training, community outreach, discipline. Not everyone liked it, but nobody could stop it. They tried one last time to scare me, breaking into my home, leaving photos of my family marked with targets. That's when I realized the fight wasn't about me, not anymore. It was about every kid who grew up believing justice was just another lie, every parent who prayed their child would make it home, every officer who wanted to serve but got forced out for standing up. So I stood up again, built a coalition, called out the corruption, helped bring down a network stretching across 12 states. I watched as officers I'd once feared testified against the people who destroyed their careers. I saw communities rebuild trust little by little. And when the last major player went down, Hamilton shook my hand and said, "You turn the tide." I don't fool myself. There's always another fight, another Garrett, another Guardians. But the difference now? We're not alone. Good people everywhere, connected, determined, and unafraid. So let me leave you with this. What systems of inequality have you seen in your life? Have you ever watched power twist the truth? Watch someone get crushed for daring to stand up? Because the real lesson here isn't that heroes swoop in and save the day. It's that real change happens when regular folks decide enough is enough, build alliances, and stick with it even when it's slow, even when it's dangerous. Comment below if you've seen injustice firsthand, if you've ever fought back or if you think it's time. Like and subscribe if you believe in accountability, if you want more stories that don't flinch away from the hard truths. I'm Maya Richardson, and I promise you, as long as people keep standing up, as long as we keep fighting for what's right, there's always hope that tomorrow looks a little more like justice for everyone.